how do you stay positive and how do you push yourself to keep going when there is no end in sight? Like you don't know when things are going to end.
Yeah, and that could be extremely tricky for, I mean, and no, nobody really shows up to selection without preparing. Some people do, but I think when you're like pretty well prepared from an endurance perspective, is like you know in your body, like, okay, if I could sustain this for a really long time, and you're also paying attention to the people around you, and like so like again, it's like because you have kind of a leg up as an 18X racer. So this kind of goes in the gamification of selection. But like I knew who I should be running up with in on those runs and those rucks. And like if I was like falling behind them, I knew it was probably like too far behind. Or if I was like running like way too far past them, I'd be like, okay, I need to slow this up. And this goes because you do unknown distances for the run and the ruck. And the ruck is like, I feel like I could go for any amount of time at like a 10 to 12 minute pace with a ruck on my back. Like that, I could just like go for for a whole marathon if I had to. It's that was like kind of just in the bags. Like I just knew I could do that. Um, but in terms of like not because on the run is it's a much different ball game. That was like that's where I felt like the most vulnerable. Not you don't because you don't have a watch, so you can't tell your like how fast you're going or what your pace is. And then you don't know how long you're going. And that's and running is also one of those things where like you can go way hard out of the gate
Mhm.
running and like lose gas quick. So that was one where much more of a mind game for me where like I had to be very, very conscientious of like, okay, am I breathing too hard? Is my heart rate going crazy? Like I need to like be like I need to find some sort of baseline that I feel like I can sustain for, somewhere between like 6 and 10 miles. To be successful, you had to like probably like to be successful, you probably had to like be under like an 8 minute mile, which was pretty easy. That's like a pretty easy run. So I always felt pretty comfortable that I was going to be fine. All it came down to is preparation. Like that's I think the bottom line is like falling back on your preparation and knowing that like you put in the work to be in good enough shape to get through it.
Now you did say with the runs though, that was like more, especially because, hard out of the gate and you're like, I kind of am burning a little bit, but I have to maintain this pace because these are timed as well. So how do you lift yourself up during those moments? Like how do you find the energy to keep going? Because like I just did a 5 mile run the other day and I did like sprints prior to the run. Okay. Because that was part of one of the challenges. And I had to do like a little workout. So it was a workout sprint, and then you end with this 5 mile run. And everyone who knows me on this podcast knows that I'm not a runner. I hate running. Prior to Team Eagle One, the only thing I ran to was the fridge in the bathroom. So I just didn't run. So I remember starting this 5 mile, and all I could think about was 5 miles. And I have to be like, listen, we're just going to go half a mile. We're going to just do half mile. And then when I get to half mile, I'll go, we're just going to go to a mile. Like my body started shaking. And I was like, I need to slow down. I need to slow down. And then like you're slowing down to a point where it's like, you know, someone who's walking very fast could be at what you're thinking is your running speed. So how do you find that energy to not stop and to maintain that pace and also not get down on yourself because you're exhausted? Like you could be sweating and hot and your body is shutting down, like, but you have to keep going and you have to tap into that reservoir, that you don't realize that you actually have.
I think that, for your listeners out there, I think one thing you have to realize is that like that's not something that you do on just a single run, right? You don't build that like I don't go out there and like I'm just crushing this like 6 mile run and all of a sudden I'm figuring out, oh wow, if I talk well about myself here or if I speak positively in my head that I could actually probably help myself right now. That's something you learn with a lot of preparation and really understanding your body and your mind and how it works and taking the time to actually like think about those types of things. When I was able to push through and like really get gritty on a run, or just like in any endurance event where it's really going to take some intestinal fortitude. That's not something that you just get in the moment. And people can say that you're like you can be a gamer or something like that, but you're not a gamer. You don't show up one time and like you all of a sudden like you figured out like okay, like I figured it out. This is how I do it. No, I think it all comes back down to preparation and knowing yourself and knowing your body and your mind. I think that is like the mark of like a champion mindset, or a mindset that's going to like be able to endure.